Years and years of bad financial habits finally caught up with me one day when I realized that I had 3 years of unfiled back taxes and I had the current year, which needed to be filed. So I had 4 total years to file. This is several years ago. And I realized, okay, I've got a mess on my hands. I've got to clean this up. And I had no urgency to clean it up until I started listening to information that made me feel a sense of urgency to clean up my tax mess. I found this tax lady, this gal who helps people with their taxes. She had an amazing webinar that basically was like, yeah, it's illegal to not file your taxes. It's not illegal not to pay them. It's illegal not to file them on time. And so, the way that she phrased this webinar, it created a sense of urgency in me. So I hired her to help me file the 3 years of back taxes as well as the current year. And I had to get set up on an installment plan with the IRS to pay that back and make monthly payments on it. And it was like the equivalent of a car payment, right? So, but I just want to touch on why this happened, why this mess happened. I created the mess by not doing things properly with my money. So the first was all those years, I did not allocate enough of my checks, my income, my revenue to taxes. And I did not have any concept of this. They don't teach you this in school. I didn't go to business school. I don't know if they teach this in business school. Nobody really taught this to me. I didn't learn it from anywhere until I read a book that explained it. I'm like, well, Jesus, how did I not know this? But I wasn't allocating enough money to my savings account specifically to pay taxes. I wasn't paying my estimated taxes on time. I wasn't paying enough estimated taxes, and I wasn't doing that every quarter like I was supposed to. I hadn't hired a CPA or the right tax professional to help me with it. And I had bad financial habits in general. I was spending too much. I was spending more than I was earning. I was going into debt. I wasn't saving enough. I was being sloppy with my money, buying things I didn't need to be buying, mostly junk food, and mostly courses and trainings and coaches and stuff that I didn't need. But all of that culminated, all of that added up to 3 years worth of back taxes. No ability to hire someone to help me file them. No ability to pay whatever I owed. I didn't even know how much I owed. You can imagine 3 years worth of taxes. Just imagine your numbers, if you didn't file taxes for 3 years. And once I filed everything with the help of this lady, got on the installment plan, made the monthly payments, I learned how to budget, I learned how to save money, I learned how to spend less, I learned how to be more intentional with my money, and I gradually cleaned up my financial situation to where I didn't miss a single payment to the IRS, which is good. And the following year, I had the same problem where I had a balance due. I couldn't pay the balance in full, and that actually defaulted my installment agreement. So that put it into default, and that started this whole series up again where I was basically battling with the IRS again. They sent me letters. They sent me 10 notices for each year. So I got so much paperwork in the mail, and they're basically we're gonna lien your property if you don't pay this whole balance. And they wanted the whole 4 years plus the next year. So I was okay, let me step back here. I know why the first problem happened. It was because of years of bad financial habits being played out by me. Why did this happen? Well, I had this balance due and I couldn't pay it. Why? Because I didn't have enough money allocated to pay that balance. So I looked back over the previous year and I saw that I had been allocating money, but it wasn't enough, and I was robbing from that savings account. So I have a tax savings account that I put a percentage of everything that I earn into that. And that account is specifically for the purpose of paying taxes. It's to be used for nothing else. It's not to be robbed. It's not to be borrowed from. You can't borrow it from it to like pay other bills. It's specifically for taxes. And so I even named the account the government's money so that, I wouldn't be tempted to take from it. And I created a separate checking account that, was separate from my daily account so that I didn't have like daily access to that number, whatever it was. So cleaning up my tax mess required me to look at my financial habits. It required me to change the way that I'm behaving around money because clearly what I was doing wasn't working. So after that second year, after I had defaulted on my installment agreement, not through not paying the payments because I was making the payments every month, but it defaulted because I had a balance on the new year and I didn't pay that in full. So I made a decision. I'm not going to have tax problems anymore. I'm not a person that has tax problems anymore. And I said, what has to take place for that to be true? Well, I need to allocate enough money to my taxes, and I need to not borrow from that savings account, and I need to make the estimated quarterly payments. So whatever's in that account, I pay that to my estimated quarterly payments. Done. So I did that, and sure enough, it worked. Like I did not have a balance the following year. In 2020, when all that craziness was happening, I did not miss a single bill or anything. I had like no financial problems in 2020 because of these financial habits, these good habits that I had built up. And I was like, yeah, I'm just not participating in all this craziness. Like we're going to pay the bills on time. We're going to pay the IRS. Like we're going to pay the taxes, the estimated taxes, all of it. And it got done, and I had no problems. And it's because I had put these things into place. So tax problems can be really, really scary. I remember just thinking, like, seeing those letters saying we're going to lien your property, your account is in jeopardy of being liened. Like, that is not fun for anybody to see. But it's a sign that you haven't been engaging in good financial habits. So I know that now. I no longer have tax problems. And I've elevated to the point where I actually fired the lady that previously helped me with the 4 years. I'm grateful for her help. I'm glad that she came into my life. But then I learned that she actually didn't do the numbers correctly. So like she was saying that I owed the state of Colorado like 10 to 20 times more than what I actually owed them. And I was like, that's wrong. That's not correct. And she was like, well, let me try to find a loophole. And I'm like, there's no loophole. It's literally not correct. Like you didn't do it correctly. So I fired her. I hired somebody else, a company that is, I think, much better and they know what they're doing. And they actually found that I had a refund from the IRS, and they confirmed that what I owed to Colorado was much less than what this lady was telling me before. So I let her go. I paid her fee, even though I didn't use her return and I didn't file it. I was like, I'm just going to let that go. And I paid more for this new company to help me out because I was like, yeah, they can help me save a lot of money. And I'm actually going to have them go back and look at previous years. So yeah, having tax problems is just an invitation to clean up your financial habits. Like clean up the mess. You caused the mess. It's either due to ignorance of what you're supposed to be doing or bad habits or some combination of all the above. I mean, most people aren't paying their taxes because they don't know that they need to, or they're not paying enough, or they're not allocating enough, they're not saving enough, whatever it is. Like there's just got to be some more like knowledge around that. But I have vowed to be a person that will never have tax problems again.